And so, when we think about implementation science, we really want to talk an awful lot about the realities. And I think that is often lost in kind of lofty theoretical conversations. And so when you're bringing up the barriers, Kerri, those are the realities. The barriers that happen in schools are the realities of what our educators and our leaders are dealing with each and every day. And unless we acknowledge them and bring them forward in a real constructive way, we're not going to get to the change that we need. And so, at the Reading League, we've been talking an awful lot about how we're moving our professional learning from knowledge building only to then knowledge building directly connected to the classroom materials and practices that teachers have each and every day. That one shift in some ways can be monumental. So just give you a really quick example. Teachers engage in a professional learning session together around database literacy instruction. Great. Really helps them understand terms, helps them understand why this is important. But if we don't take the next step to sit down with a grade level team, lay out their data and go, all right, how do we take what you just learned about data-driven literacy instruction and apply it with your own data, with your own kids, and with the materials that you have in your classroom to support you each and every day, then where will we think the change will happen? And so that's a shift we're making in order to really bring forth the realities and to make direct connections to teachers between what is often kind of disparate initiatives in their world, right? We get a new curriculum. We have a new assessment. Has anybody talked together about how those pieces go in some way? And so I think that is where we're really trying to bring the implementation science really to life in a very concrete way for the educators that we work with every day, and then spreading that word out much more broadly around what we know it's going to take to make change.
That's such an excellent and compelling and sometimes scary thought, because that word desperate can mean so many things. Like, we may have all the pieces, but do those pieces fit together? Does that assessment generate data that is diagnostic enough to tell us about this child's instructional needs and point us to an instructional solution that we can then execute in the classroom? And do I have the tools and the pedagogy at my fingertips in order to do that? And is that the way my instructional day has been designed, so that I also have the space and the collaboration to make those decisions? And frequently the answer is we're in the process of doing that. But it takes all of those cogs working together to make that happen. And I think some of what I know the Reading League is thinking about, some of what we're thinking about is Lexia, is how very many pieces need to be working together in order to generate lasting and sustainable literacy achievement in students. So we actually see the student results. Each of these steps is important, but it doesn't matter if we haven't meaningfully invested in a long-term implementation that's going to take years and constant, fearless analysis, where we are following what that data tells us and not crossing our fingers and hoping we made the right choices 3 years ago when we were told to pick between two curriculums.
It's so true. And I think that in our best efforts, we keep adding to. And so, that's where we end up in situations where we see, 6 different curriculums in an elementary school in terms of intervention materials. And a teacher doesn't know what they're supposed to use or why they're supposed to use it, but they have all these resources, but no one's supported the implementation of how this is going to come to life. And, that's the challenge. I mean, it's not easy. And it's easier to just buy more stuff. And I think that's the issue here.